Hi, so forgive me, I've lost my voice a bit, but I haven't made a video in a really long time, and I was in philosophy, my philosophy lecture today, and I was thinking I really want to make a video about something that I've learned in philosophy, and I think out of all the topics that we've covered, the one that I'm the most informed on, because I've looked at so much outside of the course material for it, is Pascal's wager. So that's what I want to talk about today. I have my little sheet here to talk about it. So Pascal's wager is one of many philosophical ways of looking at God, the question of God. So some of the most interesting elements of philosophy comes from talking about God. So there's the argument from design. There's St. Augustine. Lots of really interesting philosophers and really interesting theories. But there's one that's kind of captured my attention more than the others, so much so that I've looked at it outside of class, I've studied it, and I think it's really interesting because it looks at the question of God completely different from every other philosophical text that I've read. So instead of saying, is there a God, Blaise Pascal asks, is God worth believing in? So Blaise Pascal was actually a not only a philosopher but actually also a physicist, and he's responsible for a lot of really interesting physics concepts. I've actually studied him in a few of my science classes, but the fact that he has this really interesting idea about God really pulled me in. So basically he's saying that it's impossible for anyone to know if God actually exists, because we are so far in relation within the universe to what God would be that we wouldn't even have any conception of how to talk about this in any sort of educated way, and we have no way of confirming whether he exists or not. So we have two options. We can either believe in God or not believe. And if we choose to not partake in either, so if we, for instance, were agnostic, or if we said maybe that we don't want to participate in this discussion, then we simply exist without faith, which takes us back to not believing. So there are only two options. You have to wager on believing in God or not believing in God, and if you say that you're neutral, you don't believe in God. So if we don't believe in God and we are right, then nothing happens. If we don't believe in God and we are wrong, we are condemned to an eternity of suffering, and that's based on the Christian religion in that. But if we believe in God and we are right, then we live in an eternity of beauty and light. And so Pascal asks, does it not make the most logical sense to take the chance that we could live perfectly forever instead of taking no chance at all? And that we should believe in God simply because it's the best bet. So if you wager for God, if you believe in God and you're right, you get an eternity of a perfect life. If you wager for God and you are wrong, you actually do still get movements in the positive direction, because perhaps you're participating in virtuous activity, you're kind to other people, you don't partake in toxic behaviors, because That's what the scripture asks you to do. But if you don't believe in God and you are wrong, then you're condemned to an eternity in hell, which we all know is not nice. And if we don't believe in God and we are right, nothing happens. So really, if we want anything positive to happen, to come off this wager, then what we have to do is wager for God in Pascal's beliefs. Blaise Pascal lived between 1623 and 1662. He was a philosopher, mathematician, and physicist. So, I mean, this is interesting. It's an interesting idea, and I really like it just because of the way it looks at God. But morally, my personal opinion, which is totally separate from all the facts that I just gave you, is that I don't believe that we should change our philosophical views on the basis of what will reward us the best. I think that we should believe in something because it's compelling to us, and not because it rewards us in the best way. Now, that doesn't, maybe that doesn't take into account, kind of the trying to maximize happiness, minimize suffering, but that's what I believe. And also, if the self is our only experience in existing, we should try to make it as enjoyable as possible. So I kind of have this kind of problem because I kind of believe in what Pascal's arguing, because I do believe that we should make the most of our time here. But I also don't think that we should believe in something unless it's really compelling and speaks to us. But logically, Pascal offers the most appealing argument to me. I do agree that the existence of God is something that we can speak about, but that we can't know about. So I think it's interesting. Anyway, this is a long video, but if you want any more information about Pascal's wager, there's tons on the internet. The Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy has lots of information on that. So look it up. And thanks for watching.